We are Ripped Radio Network.
KcFromTheAve.
Good morning, good people. Saturday, April 3rd, 2021. This is Spades podcast. This is Vic in studio. I'm by myself. Cordell should be on the way in. KC is a little under the weather, so I'm holding it down for us in studio. So, real quick, last show, it was such a good show. We didn't even really get to even touch on this, but last show was actually our 1 year anniversary since, we started the podcast. So didn't bring a little bottle into the studio, and today I figured, well, it wouldn't really, matter to bring it in. Yeah, it's 1 year anniversary of doing the podcast. So, it's already been documented how, we started right as the pandemic, kicked off last year. And, it's kind of bittersweet just to see, not only like where we at right now as a podcast, but like where we at in society as a country, with all the different guidelines and, different laws that's been passed and legislation that's been passed to, get us to this point. And then obviously, the obvious factor of so many, people being gone, from the virus. And now we having a vaccine that we have at our disposal to, give us that extra layer of protection. It's, it's kind of bittersweet that, last show was our 1 year anniversary. So at some point, hopefully, probably next show, we're, pop a couple bottles in the studio. But all right, moving on. So, a lot has happened between, today and our last show. We didn't really get to touch on the whole, Derrick Jax'n thing with his with his comments. I had this conversation on Facebook, and I always felt like there's no such thing as a as a relationship guru. You know, I mean, what is that exactly? A relationship guru. You know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, if you went to school to kind of like specialize in, you know, that realm, then okay, you can probably qualify. But I mean, if you're just, you know, a regular person like me who have strong opinions about X, Y, and Z, and you just so happen to just blow up on YouTube from it, you're not a guru. I don't I don't trust your advice. I mean, you know, because I mean, up until, you know, he did what he did as far as, saying he cheated on his wife, we didn't know like what he had going on, you know. So for him to rat out everybody else that's, you know, done their infidelity and done their stuff, you know, it was kind of it was kind of, you know, a slap in the face, really, you know. So, you know, I can understand why people got upset at him, because I mean, there are people out there who did take his advice to heart and was following it, but at the same time, you really shouldn't. Like, just follow your own advice, you know, follow your own heart, really. You know, if you got good people in your corner, you know, that mean well, then, you know, kind of take everything with a grain of salt, you know, like I said on Facebook, but, you know, value their opinion more so than others, because I mean, if it's been proven that they've been in your corner and they, you know, they care about you and all that, then, you know, I'll take their advice a little more serious versus someone who I don't even know that just so happened to blow up on YouTube because he's talking about what we talk about on an everyday basis in our own individual lives, and you know, and that's to you know, basically, you know, just give our opinions on whatever we see fit. So you know, he got dragged. I mean, he's probably still getting dragged for it, but you know, I seen a meme on Facebook that showed a picture of him that when he was, I guess he was a student athlete, and it showed a picture of him in his football uniform, and somebody posted his stats from when he was in high school, and I guess he wasn't much of a contributor. I'll just say that, to the team. So, you know, people gonna find a way to drag you, man. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, I don't wish any bad on the brother. I just hope, you know, he learned from that experience, and going forward, you know, he's, you know, forthcoming and honest with his audience, you know, because, you know, obviously he wasn't very honest. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, moving on from that, we kind of had a heated, not really a heated debate at work, but you know, how do y'all feel about, you know, being, you know, because I've never done this, obviously, but, you know, being, you know, involved with someone at work, you know, it's real touchy. You know, me, I've always tried to stay away from that, just because it can get messy real fast. You know, you go to work, you know, you see this person you're dealing with. Yeah, I mean, to start off, everything is always roses and flowers and smell good and everything's sweet, right? But, you know, after a while, things, you're gonna be tested. You're gonna be tested, you're gonna go through stuff. And there's gonna be times where you show up to work and you really don't want to be there because you gotta see this person that you dealing with. And then on top of that, you might be living with that person now. So, not only do you work with this person, but you live with them as well. God forbid if you carpooling with that person. Oh shoot, that's that's terrible. But I basically was saying to everyone at work, I don't like the idea of dating somebody that I work with, just because it could be a conflict of interest too, because if you're a supervisor, nowadays we got the whole equal opportunity thing, not showing favoritism in the workplace, things of that sort, so just going back to my experience in the military, real quick, when I became a supervisor, it's crazy how much things change for me, when I became a supervisor, because when I was a regular old Joe Schmo worker bee that didn't have nothing to worry about but just my workload, I didn't have to think about things in a different realm, as being a supervisor, because I was just solely worried about, what I had going on in my own little cubicle. But when I became a supervisor, now I got people younger than me, as far as experience in the job, looking at me for advice on how they should do certain things or how they should handle certain situations. And I never really shied away from challenges and opportunities and whatnot. But early on, like when I was new to the whole supervisor thing, it was tough for me, because here I am, I'm 24 years old at the time, 23, 24. And I have people who are new to the military that are older than me as far as age, looking at me for advice on how they should handle things in the workplace. And it was kind of weird, because I'm like, dang, you got more life experience as me as far as you've been on this earth longer, but here you are looking at me to answer these questions that I feel like you should be able to answer because you live longer. But in the military, that's not the case. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's all about how much experience you have, how senior you are at your job, and basically sink or swim. Figure it out for yourself. And if you got leaders above you that ultimately, I'm not gonna say that they don't care, but if they got too much going on, and you're that first person that everyone sees in the office or your workspace, and you're that works on a supervisor, hey, it's up to you to figure out what's going on, and that's just not in the military. That's just in life, period. So, just going back to the topic real quick, I basically just made it known that, hey, don't come in here trying to shack up with with people in the office. I mean, people gonna do what they do regardless, but I just felt like it's not a good look. It never is. It starts good, but then after a while, it always find a way to go downhill. And then besides that, it affects everybody else morale too. When you when you got a intimate relationship with someone, in your direct work area, workspace, because after a while it's gonna become obvious, like, oh, they dealing with each other, and then productivity of the work gonna start to go down, because you're really not working, you talking with this person, whether face to face or you chatting with them on the computer, or you spending more time outside of your office and in the cafeteria just sitting down with this person just shooting shit, so yeah, It's not a good look. But anyway, it's a lot I want to talk about since I'm by myself. So, at the end of every show, I always make it known to everybody, hey, get your vaccines, right? And me and my girlfriend, we've had this discussion too, because at first she was on the fence about getting a vaccine. I told her, I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen, right? Because everyone already knows, like, I had COVID back at the end of the summer, and I had every symptom except loss of taste and smell. I didn't have that. But all the other symptoms that has been documented, the body chills, the fever, the fatigue, the cough, the everything under the sun, I had it. And, like I said before, for that 3 to 5 day period, it sucked, so I was always going to get the vaccine, actually get my first dose this upcoming, next Thursday coming up. And I'm excited about it. It sounds kind of weird saying, oh, you're excited to get a shot, but I'm excited because, it's a layer of protection. I know, just speaking about us black folks, we have our own personal feelings as far as getting vaccines and being the guinea pigs of different science experiments and, a lot of times getting killed from it or having life lasting effects from those experiments. So I get the resentment from the community as far as not wanting to. I'm still dealing with that trauma, but not wanting to get the shot. But if we want to get back to whatever normal is going to look like, because we really don't know what normal is going to look like again. It still might be a requirement for us to wear a mask at certain establishments. Just depending on where they at. But if you want to get, because I'm a big sports guy. So if you want to get back to, football games, baseball games, going to the hockey games. Yes, I'm a hockey fan. Don't judge me. I'm a big Caps fan. But if we want to get back to those sporting events, we're going to have to get the shot. Ladies, if y'all want to travel, go to Jamaica, go to Aruba, Fiji, or wherever y'all be fantasizing to go and whatnot, and being in y'all bathing suits, you gonna have to get the shot. You gonna have to get it at some point. So get the shot at your earliest convenience. Talk to your family members, have this discussion with them. Hey, I understand you don't want to get the shot because of X, Y, and Z, but if you want to do A, B, C, D, you got to get it. So be an advocate, like I am, to get the shot because, I'm sure there's someone out there, or, we know someone, whether directly or indirectly, that, is not here no more from, the virus. So just keep that in mind as well, too, when you make your decision to get the shot. And it's totally up to you whether you want to do it. But, think about the families out there, too, who don't have loved ones or, has been directly affected by the virus. Think about what they would do if they were here to have that same decision you have to make in order to get the vaccine. So with that being said, moving on. So I'm pretty sure, all of you have heard about the Derrick Chauvin trial for George Floyd that's going on right now, and the different witnesses that have taken a stand to discuss, that traumatic event that a lot of them did witness that day. It's already been documented as well that, I was at one point pursuing a career in law enforcement. Obviously that's not the case no more, for reasons beyond my control. But with that being said, obviously, we still got a lot of work to do. But the thing that's different about this case that is kind of different from all the other cases in the past is the fact that, the world really is watching. What the ultimate verdict is going to be. Me, I got my own personal, feelings and opinions about, the case and whatnot, but the city of Minneapolis already settled with the family, in excess of like $20 million, and that's cool, but at the same time, you can't replace that type of figure in a family, because here's another family that's without a father, just over the fact that, okay, a $20 bill was fake. My thing is too, that I always think about, how did they know the $20 bill was fake? How? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they probably used a market thing, but I don't know. I just, when I watched the surveillance video, I mean, you can't really see it, but I'm sure they did mark it and realize it was fake. But at no point could I see whether they marked it or not. But even then, man, a $20 bill, and I've paid close attention to the trial. I'm not gonna lie, because I need to see what both sides are saying. And for the most part, I already know the angle the prosecution side is coming from. But the defense side, that's what I'm paying close attention to. Because, I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the trial or not, but basically what the angle the defense side is coming from, they keep talking about how, George had an addiction, for opioids, him and his girlfriend. But it's already evident that the country as a whole has a problem with drugs. You know what I'm saying? So with each individual person, you got to take that once again with a grain of salt. Now, prominent athletes like Chris Carter, one of the greatest receivers of all time, he used to have an addiction with drugs, right? And when you do get to a place where you have it under control, it's never something that you solve. It's an ongoing battle for the rest of your life, not the relapse. Some people, they don't relapse, but some people do. So when they do relapse and they do start using again, we gotta step up, not only as a country but in our own individual communities, and provide them with the help that they need. Because a lot of these people who are addicted to drugs, they don't know where to turn for help, and sometimes they do know, but they don't want to be judged for being addicted. So in a case of George, his girlfriend has said on the stand that he did start using, or she suspected that he had started using again. But being high on whatever you're high on shouldn't be a death sentence. Shouldn't. Okay, he looked like a professional athlete. 6'3", 6'4". I don't know his weight, but I'm guessing it was anywhere between 230 and 240. Okay, it's a pretty large human being. Got that. But, I'm going to revert back to my police training that I briefly got. But if there are 4 police officers on the scene, right? Y'all got guns. Y'all got batons. You got handcuffs. Some may have OC spray, right? There should be no reason why 4 officers cannot handle one person. Now, in the video, when they put George in the back of the cruiser, I mean, it was pretty tight. He's a large man. He said he was claustrophobic. Okay, cool. Not an issue. At that point, he was already in handcuffs. Yes, he did resist at first. He did. But then he stopped as well. Now, once someone is in handcuffs, they're not much of a threat no more. I don't care who you are or how large you are. Now, if they're a professional kickboxer, okay, that's a little bit different. You might have to shackle them ankles a little bit. You might have to shackle them ankles. But outside of that, any ordinary person is not a threat anymore. So with that being said, when he said he was claustrophobic, I believe they took him back out the cruiser because of that, because of him being claustrophobic. But what they should have did is, instead of putting him prone face down on the ground, they should have sat him on the curb. That's what they should have did. Because he's handcuffed. He's not going to run off anywhere. You got witnesses there, watching. And then you got 4 officers there on the scene. As a police officer, what should have happened is you see if there's a paddy wagon available to come pick them up. Now, those of you who know what a paddy, that's in law enforcement, or know what a paddy wagon is, that is what Freddie Gray was in when he died. He was in a paddy wagon. Something like that. Now, it could be tight in that as well, but that's a way better option than stuffing a 6'3", 6'4", human being in the back of a cruiser that's tight already. That's what they should have did. But that obviously didn't happen. And the fact that if I was there on the scene, witness or officer in uniform, I would have put hands on Chauvin. What are you doing? Why do you have your knee on someone's neck? And even when I was in the police academy, we had this discussion in class. Nowhere throughout the country, maybe not anymore, but nowhere throughout the country are police recruits trained to control someone to put their knee on someone's neck. That doesn't happen anywhere throughout the country. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but George and Chauvin had a prior relationship. They used to work together doing security. I believe it was either bouncers. They did security at some club. I could be wrong, but it's something along those lines. And at that time, they really didn't have a good relationship because they clashed and whatnot. So there is history there. So, I felt like the charges initially were a little light, but I understood why they charge light, because you don't want to, overcharge and have to reduce the charges later on, because that doesn't look good. It's always good to start low and then work your way up. That's a better look versus the other way around. So me personally, I feel like it was first degree, just because there's a prior relationship and it was planned. Because when and I'm not a legal expert, just my opinion, but I do know a little something about charges and whatnot. But in my opinion, when you forcibly and purposely put your knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and however long it was, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And as you watch I still haven't seen the full video. I've seen clips. I've seen most of it, I'll say. But what I noticed when I watched it is, one, this man got his hand in his pocket. And then two, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but he kept adjusting his leg to get more balance and to apply more pressure on the neck. I don't know if y'all noticed that. So those little small details right there, combined with the fact that he knew George, like, you wanted to kill him. You wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And then at one point in the video, one of the officers said, hey, shouldn't we lay him on his side? And then you hear Chauvin say no. Even if, because, best case scenario was for them to sit him on the curb, not going nowhere. Even if you didn't want to do that, put him on the side. And the fact that the officer that, suggested, and that tells you right there that they knew better. They knew better. You're on the scene, you know what you're supposed to be doing, but yet you're not doing it. I don't care if, I don't know what Chauvin's rank was. I don't know if he was a corporal, sergeant, or whatever. He might not even been there. He probably was just nothing, a private. But, I don't care if it was, if it was a lieutenant. If I see you on the street and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether I'm a civilian or whether I'm a sworn officer, like, I'm putting hands on you because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're abusing your power as an officer. Because, like I said, you're not trained to perform those tactics. You're just not. And you have resources in place and equipment you can use to put yourself in a better situation. So those officers that were surrounding Chauvin, they knew better. And then, the defense also tried to say, oh, well, we were worried about the crowd that was surrounding us. Hold on. So, mind you, right? The crowd wasn't very big to begin with. Probably about 8 to 10 people. Yeah, they were talking. Who wouldn't be? But what they weren't doing was being aggressive. They weren't being combative. They weren't intervening in a sense of trying to aid George in getting away. They were watching, like any one of us would do nowadays, considering what we know about the police. Well, some of the police, not all police, because there are good police officers out there. But we watch anyway just to make sure things go smoothly, right? That's all right, as long as we're not, intervening in them trying to detain someone or arrest someone or intervening in an investigation. We're going to watch. That's what anyone will do. So for the defense to try to say, oh, well, the crowd was aggressive and intervening, when you look at the video, that's not what was going on at all. But that's a slap in the face to us as ordinary people, because on January 6, 2021, we had what we had occurred down in the city, and there were actually police officers that was killed and hurt as a result of as a result of lies that was told by our former president with the election results. And what hasn't also been talked about is the fact that there's been officers from Capitol Police that's committed suicide as a result of what happened on January 6th. You don't hear our former president and his base talking about that. But I ain't gonna dive too much into that. So going back to the Chauvin trial, the defense is looking more and more weak. They're going to continue to pick on the fact that oh, well, he was high on drugs. Oh, he we fear for we fear for our lives because he was a large man. Come on, man. I mean, it gets to a point, and the internet doesn't hide anything. And thank God we got body cam footage nowadays. I mean, because I could only imagine what was occurring before this technology was developed during arrests. Just any police interaction, traffic stops. I could only imagine what used to occur. And, once again, the fact that we have this technology now and video does not lie, and you still some way, somehow trying to pull at, the fact that he was high, addicted to drugs, he was a large man. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, you don't have much of an argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's comical, the defense side, and one of the sergeants had went up there and testified and said, yeah, Chauvin shouldn't have did what he did. That we didn't train to do that. Yeah, I know. We know. And what was also documented very early on after the events unfolded the way that it did was the fact that Chauvin had, I think, at least 24 complaints against him from people that he had interactions with, and the department did nothing about it. Now, y'all know how I am. I don't care. I'm gonna pull the race card. If Chauvin was a black officer that had 24 complaints, he would have been disciplined, or he would have been fired. You have that many complaints about you, something's wrong. You either don't know what you're doing, you need some remedial training, which is okay, or you're just purposely abusing your powers as an officer. And you feel like, oh, well, I can just bully whoever because I got a badge and I got a gun. Well, you can't. Because there's plenty of police officers out there who get their ass whooped by regular, ordinary people, regardless if they got a vest or a gun on them. It's been documented, and it has happened, that officers get their weapons taken away from them as well in situations. So, I mean, you having a badge and a gun doesn't mean anything. It's all about how you're able to navigate through each call you get. Every call is different. You know, every call is different. Different calls are dangerous, you know, and I have a lot of respect for the profession because I know officers who do the job. You know, when you show up to the scene of a domestic violence call, which is another huge problem in our country, you don't know what you're going to walk into. You may walk into a situation where, you know, there's a man beating on his wife. I mean, like wailing on her. And as an officer in that situation, you have to decide what you should do. You have the option to either A, shoot that man, which, I mean, you have a right to do, because if you fear for that woman's life, you can justify that. Or you know, you can tackle him, whatever. You got different options, you know. So I get it. The job is hard. You know, it is hard. But you have to know how to handle each call, regardless of race. You know, if you genuinely fear for your life as an officer, okay, do what you got to do. But when you got somebody handcuffed, the person's no longer a threat. I don't care who they are. They're not going anywhere. They're not. So, for those of you who are police officers out there that are listening or want to do the job, when you get out on the road, don't feel like, oh, well, this person outranks me, I'm kind of powerless in this situation. No, you're not. You because you took the same oath they did to protect and serve, right? This blue wall, this silent blue wall, it really doesn't exist no more. You know, we're now starting to see that, okay, bad officers are starting to be ratted out, as they should be. You know, because your first job is to protect and serve. You know, so, and that means putting your life on the line for people you don't know. That's the essence of the job. You know, and if you're on the scene with an officer that isn't upholding those values and that oath, you have the power to step in. You do. So, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. I am by myself in studio. So yeah, quick break, come back, wrap up.
KcFromTheAve.
All right, I'm back. I gotta get used to saying that because normally we'll have a full studio, but you know, I'm riding solo today, so it's cool. Real quick, if you don't have the RIP Radio app, download it onto your Apple and Android devices. You can catch any of the shows live, not just our show. There's a ton of other good shows that come on before and after us that are amazing. Check them out. You can actually go back as well and watch previous shows that you've missed on the app. And there's much more on the app besides shows. So download the app, check it out. You won't be disappointed. All right, so while I have a couple more minutes before I get off, now that I've finished talking about, some serious stuff, I want to talk a little football real quick. We don't really talk sports much on the show. We try to stick to, stick to stuff that we can, easily talk about that has some that we can all relate to, basically. But I want to talk about my my NFL team in DC. I can't say Redskins no more, but I'm feeling good about the season. Not just because I'm a fan, but we're moving in the right direction. Got the draft coming up. Free agency is kind of dead now, but Cowboys fans out there, I hope it's competitive this year, honestly. Dak is back. Y'all got, obviously Zeke and the other cast, so I pray that it's competitive this year. It really wasn't competitive last year. Giants, y'all gonna be a sleeper, honestly, but we're coming for y'all. Eagles, y'all the unknown, but Jalen Hurts is a dog, so I'm not gonna sleep on him. So I'm looking forward to the season. So with that being said, since there's 17 games on the season, I'm going to predict that we'll go, I'll say 10-7. 10-7. That's respectable. Make the playoffs, win the division by one game. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But to wrap up, once again, get your vaccines, get it done so we can travel, hit up sporting events, and kind of get back to normal. All right, I get mine on Thursday, so once again, talk to your families, have the conversation, and get the vaccine so we can put all this behind us. All right. For KC and Scoop, once again, thank y'all for watching the program. This is Spades Podcast. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Happy Easter. Tomorrow's Easter. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Peace.
We are Ripped Radio Network.